Another consideration is like how you want to use the pedal. So for example, halo inductor pedals, they're a more classic design. They're more transparent sounding. They seem to be a little fussier. They tend to like the guitar right into the pedal. They sound the best that way. They still sound great otherwise, but if for example, you had like a Univibe in front of it bypassed, the wah pedal doesn't sound quite as good to my ears as it does when there's nothing in front of it because of the loading of the signal. The other thing to consider is, if you're going to use the pedal with fuzzes. So fuzz pedals, especially germanium fuzz face classic circuits, they do not like being hit with a wah-wah pedal. But that's the way you'd probably want to use it a lot of times if you wanted to get the classic wah sound that you get running a wah in front of a distortion or an overdrive. So both the Fulltone and the RMC have an output buffer to fix that problem. I like that the Fulltone, it's actually switchable. And I like that because I don't use fuzzes most of the time, and the more junk you can take out of the circuit and bypass, it sounds a little more transparent. So I would probably like the sound of the RMC even a little more than I already love it, if I could have one with and turn the output buffer off. But it sounds great anyway. But anyway, also the pedal has the ability to boost if you want. And this particular one has 3 voicings. So normally I use the Jimmy one, which is more of the standard mid-range voicing. It can go brighter than that, and it can also get a lower voicing, which sounds more like, it's more of the wow, 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 Man in the Box thing that was similar to a Color Sound was back in the day. But what's cool is I can get that voicing that's similar to the red phasal inductor on the CAE wah, but with the clean Halo inductor thing. So that's really cool. Something I really like about this one that's unique on the Fulltone, a lot of people kind of knock these as being thin, but what's really cool is if you use them with a really saturated amp, it's the cleanest sounding wah I've been able to find. Now, that doesn't make it feel as easy to play, but it sounds more like your bypass tone just going wah, wah, wah. So for me, that's awesome. It has an input. I can select how much input I'm boosting the circuit with my pickups. So with the input level at about noon and the output buffer on at about noon, it sounds similar to the RMC, which is a little more saturated than this one. If I turn the input level down, it's the cleanest possible signal into the amp, and I really like that. For some people, it might be too thin, but it's a cool option. I think for a lot of people, the RMC 10 would be really awesome if you're looking for a halo wah that's easy to operate based on the sweep of the pedal, and you'll really like it. And it works with your fuzzes, and it's cool. Both of these pedals, the Clyde Deluxe and the RMC, have a very transparent 3-dimensional feel to them, which is something you notice. So you may initially go, I want to buy a wah pedal that's got a million options on it, but you might find that sounds flatter and less transparent and less alive. And the less junk you have on the wah that you don't really intend to use, the better they tend to sound. That's the same with Univibe pedals too. The other thing, wah pedals, inductors, right, that are in them tend to be really susceptible to RFI and EMI interference. You have to keep them as far away as possible from your power supply. And both the RMC and the Fulltone use a mu metal cover. That's basically a shield that blocks our RFI and EMI interference. A lot of the wah pedals are probably going to that. The Fulltone in particular seems to be also less microphonic susceptible. So just like a pickup, you want some microphonics, but you don't want it to squeal. If there's wah pedals that have absolutely no issue with that, to no degree, tend to sound really kind of flat and not interesting and musical sounding. The Fulltone sounds really musical, but can be in close proximity to a cranked up high gain amp, and it doesn't do whale noises. A lot of wah pedals will kind of have that problem. If you stop and do a rest for a second, the pedal will or whoop, do that sort of thing. Both the 10 wah and the Fulltone are pretty good with that. The Fulltone seems to be the quietest of any wahs. I have less trouble with that. So that's important if you're on a tight stage. That's a consideration. Other wahs that could be cool. I haven't tried the Dunlop JP wah, John Petrucci one. It's basically a rack mount crybaby. with a phasal inductor. The rack mount Crybaby was cool because it gives you tons of adjustability of the frequency response of the pedal. That could be cool to mess with. So if you need that sort of adjustability, that could be cool. Just make sure you mark all your trim pots in the pedal. Other than that, just consider the sort of tone you're looking for, but consider the rig you're running it in. And that's what's so tricky about demonstrations of this is, you could probably run a yellow phasal inductor pedal, the CAE wah, in like a signal chain with a Marshall JCM 800 that's kind of thin, and then compare that to like my KSR amp with a halo inductor wah, and they might sound sort of similar when they're doing wah things because of how they're being used in the circuit. So at some point, if you want, depending on the response, I may consider doing a comparison video. I don't want to do the typical thing because you really want to hear the pedal in a song format to see how it actually works, which is something that when you really play with, for me, with the Fulltone Clyde Deluxe with my rig, it really, in a recording situation, jumps out and sounds really exciting and three-dimensional in ways otherwise don't so much when you're playing lead guitar. So that's why it's my favorite, like, lead guitar shred wah. The RMC has a little bit prettier, more classic Hendrix if you're playing a clean tone or a slightly broken up Voodoo Child tone. So it depends on what you're looking for. But yeah, I may do a demo with that in the future, depending on if you guys ask for it. Anyway, I hope this helped you guys out. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks.